AAA says that nearly 50 million Americans will travel this 4th of July weekend. They're going to be spending more on their vacations this summer than they did a year ago, according to travel and hospitality marketing firm MMGY Global. Well, joining us now with a look at the biggest trends in travel is the CEO of the company, Clayton Reid. His company just released its 25th annual Portrait of an American Traveler. And Clayton, I was looking through some of the highlights of this report. Millennials, interestingly enough, as we were mentioning earlier in the show, they're doing more staycations.
You know, I think millennials are actually miscast in the media quite a bit, I believe. I think a lot of people consider millennials only that 18 to 25-year-old who is very adventurous and wants to go to exotic places. Well, the fact is we define millennials as 18 to 35-year-olds when it comes to travel.
Okay.
And in fact, the largest spenders in millennial travel are millennials with kids and families. So yes, we see a lot of move for millennials to travel shorter distances and more times, which allows for their budget. And they still want to take exotic trips, too, but there is a lot of interest in traveling in their own backyard.
Right. So isn't it more than half of them looking at least looking to stay around their area,
That's right?
Okay.
And multiple times during the year. The other thing that's interesting about millennials, for those that take longer trips, the ones that want to take more exotic trips, they're actually using travel agents at a higher incidence than in any other cohort.
Really?
Demographic, yeah, because we think they're less experienced travelers and they want some guidance, and it's counterintuitive.
Not the travel websites.
That's right.
The travel agents.
Well, again, they still use a lot of travel websites too.
Right.
Just in terms of index, they're using travel agents, bricks and mortar, traditional travel agents, more than other age groups, which is counterintuitive when you think about how millennials define.
So how come you define? I guess there is kind of a gray area when defining millennials, right? So why do you define in a broader, age group here?
Right. So another misperception: millennials are actually the largest demographic in the United States today. 84 million millennials live in the United States. Contrast that with boomers, where there are only 78 million. So, and that is 18 to 35-year-olds, millennials as defined. And things that you don't expect. For example, they want to cruise at a very high level. You typically think of cruises and travel as the province of older people.
Right.
And it is.
65 and older.
And it is. A lot of boomers and matures take cruises, but actually, and it's an all-time high for us in our 25-year study, the intent to cruise at an all-time high. 48% of Americans say they want to take a cruise, and 51% of millennials say they want to take a cruise, which again is counterintuitive.
That is. Also, the travel. Speaking about the travel websites, and it reminds me of like the online shared travel services, right? Like so Airbnb and others. I mean, are you seeing any impact on those kinds of companies from the traveler?
Huge impact. 18% of U.S. travelers have used a shared economy service in travel at some point in the last 12 months. That could be an accommodation like an Airbnb or a home away. It could be Uber, for example. And of those, though, millennials are the largest segment. Roughly 80% of those 18% are millennials, but 74% are Gen Xers and 72% boomers who are using shared services. So to your point, and as it relates to some of the major lodging companies, for example, for every 1% of growth at Airbnb or home away in a home accommodation, the lodging industry, the traditional lodging industry, is losing about 0.25% of revenue. And it is a serious it has serious implications for the lodging community.
And I noticed that on the survey, right, TripAdvisor is what tops across the board, or is it just among certain segments?
Well, you just reported about Delta pulling out of TripAdvisor on the airline side, but TripAdvisor is absolutely the most important influencer of lodging decisions in the United States. And one of the things that came out of our study is traditional online travel agencies like Expedia, Priceline, Travelocity are actually losing traction with the U.S. traveler. And TripAdvisor and other meta-search engines like Kayak, like Trivago are picking up some of that volume.
Interesting. All right. Well, good for TripAdvisor, I guess, right?
Yes.
I do use it, too, when I travel. Clayton, thank you so much.
Certainly
Clayton Reid
welcome.
of MMGY Global on the American Traveler.